Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm here today to talk to you about a topic that has been on my mind to bring up for a while, and I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to bring it up. And then I was listening to a comedian today, like in the car, like satellite radio, and for whatever reason, they brought up food and it made me realize exactly how I wanted to talk about this topic. So, the topic is intuitive eating, as you can see in the description. Um, so, I hear it's a common thing to talk about these days, this intuitive eating, this idea of eating by listening to your body and intuitively choosing foods so that you're not um, dieting specifically. You're not avoiding any types of food. You're eating what your body tells you it wants to eat. And I have to tell you that in theory, this is amazing and it can actually work because we definitely do not spend enough time listening to our bodies and what our bodies are truly needing. We have a tendency to eat on the fly or just grab what's convenient. We have a tendency to not plan ahead with what we're eating very well or eat what's familiar, what we're used to. We grow up learning how to cook certain foods in certain ways. And so that sort of carries over for many of us into adulthood. And then, that's what we feed our own kids. And sometimes we don't think about it at all, really. And then eventually, some kind of health condition will come on, or we'll have a weight loss issue or weight gain issue that we realize, we're struggling to figure this out. Um, we don't want to get caught on the yo-yo dieting or that dieting cycle, right? We don't. That's not a healthy place to be. Um, and and then sometimes we'll try that for a while. We'll get super restrictive. We'll go on one of these, whatever is the popular in the moment uh nutrition plan or dieting plan. Hey, whoever's on there, say hi, drop a comment, hashtag replay if you are catching the replay, so I know that who's seeing this live and who's seeing it later. Um so we sometimes we get like burned out of the dieting thing. Like if anybody has ever done something like keto, or one of those, it's keto by many names, right? There's South Beach and there's Adkins and there's like all these different ones that have gone through. Um, but or paleo or whatever it is. So there might be one of these nutrition plans that you go on and you just are like burned out of it. You're so over avoiding carbs mainly by that point that you just decide, forget it, I don't want to do it that way anymore. So then you hear about intuitive eating and you go, oh, that sounds awesome, because what it basically says is whatever you want to eat right now is what you go ahead and eat. And that's what you might think intuitive eating is, but that's really not it. So I wanted to kind of touch on this because I like the idea of intuitive eating. In fact, um, I need my clients listening to their bodies a lot more to recognize when you have a food sensitivity. Sometimes, like, we're so blindly going about, eating whatever happens to be there or whatever we're used to eating, whatever we can grab quickly or whatever, someone else, in the house cooked that we can just eat. Or what we're familiar with or what's on sale. My husband loves to get food at the lowest price per pound. So anytime he can buy something and brag that it was under $1 a pound, I don't care what it is, he's going to be super happy and he's going to buy a whole bunch of it. So if he can get, like, he loves, and I've weaned him off of this pretty well, but he loves canned soups. And he loves the kind that you don't have to add water to, like it's not condensed, it's already, ready to eat and you just heat it up. Never mind that canned soup has a boatload of sodium and just like it's not an ideal food by any means. But when he can find them for less than $1 a can, and it's a 16-ounce can, so it's a pound of food, so it makes him very happy. And it's just hilarious. And so that's his major criteria. So if you're somebody like that, that your major criteria is what is the least expensive thing I can buy right now, probably you're not paying attention to your body and what it truly needs in that moment. Um, so intuitive eating really helps you get focused on what does my body need? What fuel should I be putting in right now based on what my body is telling me? So this is why I have all my clients keep a food journal. It's really important that we're tracking what they're eating, when they're eating it, and kind of how they feel afterward. Because we don't always, unless you're having an actual allergic reaction to a food, you don't always know right away that a food is maybe triggering something in your body. It maybe it's triggering a asthma attack or a flare up of, like, I have celiac disease. Maybe it would flare up. Like, obviously, if it's gluten, it's going to, trigger a celiac flare. Maybe it's triggering your acne or your hormonal symptoms, your cramps and bloating. Maybe it's triggering or worsening depression or anxiety. There's just so many ways that food affects our bodies. And so by keeping a food journal, you can then go and look back over 24 to 48 hours and see if you're having some sort of flare up or reaction, and look at what you ate in that time frame, because it's not always immediate. It takes a couple days for food to go through all the way through your body and out the other side, right? So you sometimes a symptom might not show up, and if you ate something for breakfast today, you might not feel it till tomorrow afternoon. Maybe that migraine doesn't happen until 24 hours after you ate that ice cream. So keeping a food journal is really helpful at looking back. And so that type of intuitive eating becomes recognizing that your body is reacting in a negative way to certain foods, and then learning how to adapt that. So either eliminating those foods, replacing them with something better, changing up an ingredient. So, for example, instead of having regular milk, switching to like oat milk or almond milk, to if you recognize that you have an issue with dairy. Um, and so that sort of intuitive eating is where you're learning to read the symptoms that your body's telling you something. Whenever you have a health condition, your body's trying to tell you that something's not right. And so getting to the bottom of it can be difficult. But on the other end of that, um, how do you know that when you are interested in eating a certain food, is that intuitive eating or is it just a craving? Because cravings don't necessarily mean your body needs that thing. It could be when you have a bacterial imbalance in your gut. It could be that the bad gut bacteria are screaming for their fix. They really like sugar, simple carbs, artificial sweeteners, that type of stuff. So if your body is screaming for a specific, um, candy or cookie or something like that, that's not your body saying, I need these nutrients. That's your something saying, give me my fix. It could be the brain chemical um, hit that you get, the endorphins and the feel good, serotonin and things like that you get when you eat those fast hit carbs, those high sugar, sweet, comfort foods, right? Um, so it could just be that it's satisfying that physical craving, that emotional craving. It could be emotional eating, that you're mad at somebody or sad about something, so you turn to a comfort food. That's not really intuitive eating. That's eating to satisfy a craving. And you might, in those situations, you're not even necessarily hungry. You're just eating because there's a craving happening. So that's another thing to be aware of. Truly intuitive eating would be recognizing by what your body is looking for, what nutrients it's looking for. So, for example, if you're craving salty things, very possibly you are lacking some sort of trace mineral. So, in that case, instead of eating some salty chips or French fries from the drive-through or something like that, you would be much better served to eat something like a dark green leafy salad with some, nuts on it for crunch, because a lot of times the salty and the crunchy kind of go together, and with some raw walnuts on there or something like that. You That would be intuitively recognizing I'm craving salt. My body must be, looking for a mineral. The best place to get minerals is dark green leafy veggies, and get it from there. Alternatively, if it's a sweet craving, looking at the time of day that that's happening, is it mid-afternoon? Because that's when we tend to hit that mid-afternoon slump. And so that craving for that candy bar out of the vending machine at work, um, is really your body looking for energy, because carbs are our body's main source of fuel and energy. It's what our bodies need to keep us running all day long. And so, um, your body's going to go, I need energy. Energy comes from carbs. And your brain is gonna kick in and go, oh, well, we can get quick hit carbs if we grab a Twix bar out of the vending machine, right? That's sugar. It's a quick hit of energy. It's not a good one. You're gonna crash afterward, and feel worse than when you started. And there's no nutritional value in there. So a better thing to do would be to grab like a banana, or some sort of more complex carbohydrates, some sweet potato, um, something like that would give you the sweet, the carb, but still, and that burst of energy, but still being in a whole food form that actually has nutrients involved, and it's a complex carb, so it's not going to be that quick spike and crash. It's going to be a more sustained energy, if that makes sense. So, or you can even, if you know that in those late afternoons, my body looks for, some kind of sweet, quick hit type of thing, make sure your lunch includes those slow acting, um, sustained energy carbs, like a sweet potato, or like some beans, or some brown rice, something that is going to give you the carb and give you the energy, but still the fiber for the staying power. And then if you add a healthy fat to that, like maybe it's, a brown rice cake with some nut butter, or an apple with some nut butter, or um, you know, I don't know what else. Beans have fat in them too. I love beans. I'm beans and rice. Go for some beans and rice. And I get that that doesn't sound like, well, if I'm craving a candy bar, how is beans and rice going to satisfy it, right? Right, you're right. It's not. So, I mean, not as far as the sweet tooth goes. It's not. So, what's something else you could do? You could do, my favorite go-to sweet tooth thing is a medjool date with a little bit of nut butter in it. Super indulgent treat, but it's a whole food. It actually has nutrients. It has some minerals and some vitamins and things in it, and you get the protein and that satisfying feeling from the fat and the nut butter, and it's just such a good snack. And so then and if you need a crunch, add walnut on top to give you some crunch. Um, but that would be an example of actual intuitive eating that is going to promote health, as opposed to saying, well, I'm eating intuitively, and intuitively I want a Big Mac for dinner today. Like not that's not intuitive eating. That is satisfying cravings, which again is not the same thing. So learn to kind of recognize the difference. If your craving is for a very, very specific thing, um, then it's probably because you've conditioned over time that that thing is what's going to fix it for you, right? So like, I'm having a rough day at work. I'm super stressed out. I just got off the phone with a pain in the neck client, or my boss is being a jerk to me. I'm going to, grab the some a donut from the break room. And then every time you have a stressful day, you decide it's time for my daily donut, right? That is not intuitive eating. The craving comes because you have an emotional attachment to it because it's helping you get through a difficult moment at work where you're stressed out, right? And then your brain likes the extra perk that you got from the sugar. So that it kind of it goes it's emotional, but then your brain takes over and says, "Oh, well, last time we got emotional, that worked. So let's do that again. Let's go get that donut." And your brain doesn't care that the donut is like not satisfying any nutritional value. It's not giving your body anything good, right? In fact, it might be working to cause a flare up later in the day of, or waking up with joint pain the next morning, or having, a stomach ache before bed at night, or developing a migraine later. But in the moment, your brain doesn't care about that. Your brain just wants a quick fix. I want to deal with this emotion that's driving me crazy and it feels too big and I need to get it under control. And oh, by the way, I like the energy I got when I ate that, that cupcake. So let's go grab that. Oh, and hopefully you can still hear me because my AirPods just died. So if you're still watching, can you just give me a like or something if you can hear me? Because if not, I'm going to have to, yes, Janet? Okay, good. Darn AirPod died. So that is just kind of a brief explanation of what is intuitive eating. And if you truly want to use intuitive eating, I encourage you to keep a journal so you begin to recognize what you think you're intuitively crave or wanting, so that you can look back and determine, was that a craving? Was that something that my body actually needed? And then also look at the season that you're in. Because intuitively, when the weather changes and the weather gets colder, you want to eat warmer foods. That's an example of a healthy, intuitive eating, right? Your body wants to counter. In the summer, you crave, fruit salads and maybe, other cold things because it's hot, and intuitively your body wants to, and this goes to Ayurveda and goes to the doshas, right? But intuitively you want to cool yourself, so you eat cooler foods in the summer. And then when winter hits and you're cold, you intuitively want warm beverages and you want hot tea instead of iced coffee or whatever. So that sort of thing makes a lot of sense, right? But if it's, you want to get to the point where you recognize, is my body craving something that it needs? Again, if I'm craving salt, am I really lacking minerals? If I'm craving sugar, am I really am I not getting enough sleep? So I'm trying to get energy in some kind of way. Am I emotionally choosing to eat this thing because I'm having a moment and I just need a comfort food? And that is how and I'll tell you this, every single time, if it's junk food, it's always about a craving. It is not about intuitive eating. It's your body knows what it needs and where the nutrients are. So for true intuitive eating, it's never going to be processed junk food with sugar or, God forbid, artificial sweeteners in it, and that type of thing. That is never going to be an intuitive thing. That is always going to be a craving. So hopefully that helps you guys. Please drop a comment if you found this helpful. Share away if you know somebody who would benefit from watching this. And if there's a topic you would like me to cover in a future video, let me know what that is. Drop a comment or message me, and I'll be happy to make that my next video. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.